Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to S14 for the Austria Grand Prix. My name is ILT Indigo. We do have Dan in the party, but due to his PSN issues, hopefully he can get them sorted and join me alongside me in the commentary box. But it's going to be me for the time being, so hopefully you can stand by company, and Dan should be here shortly. So, Austrian Grand Prix, then one of the shortest tracks on the calendar in the F1 calendar, introduced since 1970 around here. It used to be called the A1 Ring, but back in 2004, that's when it was seen as the last race before we had 11-year hiatus. Then it was reintroduced back in 2014. That's when both Williams took pole position with Felipe Massa on pole and Valtteri Bottas. What a story for Williams as well, having a 1-2. Probably their first from a long time. I didn't really do the research when their last pole was before 2014. Well, 2012 obviously with Pastor Maldonado, but 1-2. That was an incredible achievement. They didn't exactly win the race because overall it was a Mercedes dominant year for them, other than a few races where they suffered due to gearbox problems and whatnot. But here we are then. As you can see, we have got the multiplayer cars, but some people have put their liveries on to the cars they usually raced in to make it more easier for us to identify what car they raced in. So this is the Williams here. You can see a Wesker, and that's the Williams I was talking about back in 2014 when I think it was Bottas who finished in P3 and Massa in P4 in that order, where Massa unfortunately lost the lead and I think he got overtaken by both Mercedes and his teammate too and finished in 4th place that year. But overall it was a really good season for Williams back in 2014, third in the Constructors, multiple podiums as well with Valtteri Bottas and Felipe Massa back then. But ever since then, Williams have gone downhill. But hopefully, Williams as a team can make their resurgence up because they started to get a little bit better, but nowhere near as they were back in those days, at the early turbo hybrid era days. But we've got a car right behind Wesker. Hopefully, he backs off because there's no way you want to be that close and overtaken at this stage ever since you're doing your tyre warm up. So here comes Wesker then, as he will round off the penultimate corner. What's the car doing behind? He's diving off as the pit lane, so he won't interrupt Wesker's lap. I thought he'd be starting right behind him to get that toe. But here we are as we round the final corner with DRS enabled on the first DRS zone here in Austria. We approach the first corner, braking just before the 50-meter board, taking a lot of curb on the entry. You want to use the curb as well on the exit too, for a good measure to balance out and use all the track. And here we are then, coming up towards the hill, turn number 2. Flat out corner, turn 3, braking at the 100-meter board. Screw off all the speed here. It's critical to get a decent exit through these corners here because it will lead on to the third DRS zone, and if you mess up that braking zone, you lose a lot of time too on this straight for good measure as we head downhill, braking into turn 4, and we want to kiss the apex, but it goes slightly out wide, but it collects the car really well, brings it all the way to the right hand side as we flick through to the left hander of 6, then using the 50 meter board as a reference. But you can see they're oversteering the car. Did he get the throttle way too early? I'm not quite sure, but anyways, he saves the car for the time being. It will definitely cost him a little bit of time there for Wesker. So as he rounds the final 2 corners, takes it very nicely with the penultimate one. Same for the final one as well. It's very easy to exceed challenges through here. You want to have full commitment, a lot of speed as Wesker sets the pace with a 4.6 then for Williams is right behind him. Zenham goes into P2 with a 4.6. That's quite close as well, considering it's their first lap times, as MDJ sets the initial pace with a 4.0, separated by 6/10 as well. So what a great lap time from the Dutchman already to be showing that pace. But we expect some more cars coming through, and we've got somebody else crossing the line right now to start their flying laps. I'm not going to be surprised, by the way, if we do see a lot of invalidations around here too, because that is very common. And for the race, like it was in Canada, we saw loads of people pick up those 3-second time penalties and even more too. So it's very critical to reduce the penalties here tonight, because that can gain you a lot of time as well, a lot of positions. Like Harry Kane experienced back in Canada, where he picked up those penalties. He was leading initially, but afterwards those penalties demoted him down the order outside the podium too. So that was a very costly mistake there for Harry Kane. But he says Austria is better for him in terms of track limits, which I'm quite stunned to hear, because Austria is very easy to pick up to those penalties indeed. As we round off then towards the final corner, Energy Dan has joined the session as we make our way towards the line now for Harry Kane. Slots his car into P2 with a 4.3 then, so reduces that deficit. Is MDJ going to be on form this race? Because back in Canada he didn't really show the pace, did he, as he did back in Spain. So hopefully in Canada, hopefully here in Austria, he can try and regain some of that pace he lost in the last Grand Prix as well, where he did suffer a bit. We saw him in a few mistakes as well at that track. But I think Dan is back with me.
Evening, mate. How you doing? Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. I'm good, thank you. And how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I'm actually really looking forward to watching these guys race around here. For such a simple track, it's actually quite tricky to line it all up and get a good lap time. I mean, you're probably looking at 1.6 second deficit between first and last place, maybe a bit more. We'll definitely get into the low 103 or mid 103s round here for some of these guys.
We're about to find out. We're very close to that with DJ Glock rounds off the final corner to go into P1 with a 3.8 then. So Glock has beaten MDJ under 2/10 is the gap now. So Glock is also looking for that resurgence drive after those two mistakes he made back in Spain when he took out MDJ, and also back in Canada as well when he had that drive-through penalty. So two races, the opportunities have been lost for him. But hopefully here, third time lucky, where he was my teammate at this track a few weeks ago and he gave me a podium. So Glock there in P1 for the time being, doing me proud.
I'm just on board with Martin now. He's just coming through sector 3, or about to come through sector 3. He's looking quite tidy. He's not made many big mistakes. So this could be a good time for Martin.
Purple in that middle sector is Martin then, so let's see where he could pop that Aston Martin, but it's a multiplayer car. So as he rounds off the penultimate corner now, and let's see, very nice speed through there, into the final corner we go, and Samit there into P3 with a 4.0, good lap time from him as Martin pops that car into P9 just behind Sonic Hawk, who's a few hundreds off too, so not very close between the two around here. Look at that, Dan, we've got 3 people in the 4.6, so they're quite close. Burmeister too amongst those drivers.
Let me just quickly check stewards from last week, mate.
I'm on board with Relics for the time, but he's headed down into turn 3. Took a lot of curb as well on the edge. You don't really see a lot of drivers doing that. You want to just kiss the apex there, because if you bounce over those curves, you unstabilize the car and won't get the traction you need without the corner. So as we head down to turn 4 there, took a wide line through there, so as he gets on the throttle now, we make our way into this little turn here, turn 5, now into turn 6, flick it through the 50-meter ball, carrying the minute speed, we'll keep on the throttle through here. You want to use all the track on the outside. It looks like a very cautious lap here from Relics, a 45.3, not really pushing the limits in that Alfa Romeo car, as it's a multiplayer car, so we've got to get used to that, only with, hopefully for a week or two. But as he makes his way now into the penultimate corner, got dragged away from that curb a little bit, you can see him sliding in that penultimate corner, and now he makes his way towards the line. It's going to be a 5.0, so he pops himself into the top 10, does Relics.
Just checking on the stewards from last week, it's Kuipers that is actually on a qualification ban. So yeah, we will see Kuipers actually set a lap. He can come out and not complete a lap, but do a lap from pit to pit, just so he locks his setup in, but he can't do a timed lap.
Yeah, fair enough, and unfortunately for Kuiper, who's got that qualifying bag, we'll start down in P19, and also he's Hazara, who is a full-time driver, I think, for Alpine, if I heard it correctly.
Yep, I think, yeah.
Let's see what he can do. He's got a really great pace. He showed it back in Canada, but I think those wet tyres, I don't think the track conditions suited his tyres. So let's see what he can do in Austria. He won the Spanish Grand Prix. Unfortunately, he didn't have his voice to share, so it looks like I was talking to myself, but he was in that interview. We did tell him, didn't we, last week about the voice to share?
We did, yeah. Yeah, we're just going on back what you said about the curbs as well. This track's actually evolved quite a lot over the last few seasons, and you can actually ride the majority of these curbs around it. I noticed that last night when I was doing a bit of a session. I'm not sure whether that'll transition with full fuel or not, but certainly on qualifying pace, or qualifying fuel, and in TT, you can actually ride quite a few of these. But saying that, I'm sure we'll see some drivers come a cropper with those curbs around here.
Yeah, Sonic Hawk making his way around the final corner. Let's see where he can pop that car. It's going to be a 4.5. He improved by a tenth, so he lost 2 tenths in that final sector as he gained them in the middle sector. So still a lot of improvement there for Sonic Hawk to get his way up the field there. But off back, oh, Zenith spun coming through turn 6 there. I think I don't know if it was the curbs or not. Is it the way he turned in? Was it the outside line he took just on set of the car? Oh, it's a shame there for Zen. A nice livery too from him. Zenom Dynamics in that car. DJ goes quickest, but only by a few hundreds too. So these two are on it tonight in the Red Bull as well for MDJ and Glock. Red Bull and versus Mercedes. Glock is still improving. He's got a few hundreds up in this first sector. So let's see if he can maintain this. But I think it's going to be another great fight between those two.
Well, Laser's about to settle that time, so this might be the cat amongst the pigeons.
Let's have a look then. Where is Laser? Oh,
Coming
where
to
is
the
he?
last corner now.
Is he the black
Oh,
car?
that was tight. Yes. Oh, second. I do think we'll see a 103.6, definitely. Especially towards the latter end of this qualifying when the track's actually rubbered in a lot.
We're about to find out as well. Glock is making his way through the penultimate corner. Is this going to be enough? I think it is, you know. Keep an eye on Glock. He needs to hook it up in his final two corners. Can he snatch back pole away from MDJ? Let's have a look now. Has he crossed the line? Yes, he can. It's a 3.6. Wow. And he found a lot of time in that last sector too. He's only a few hundreds up in the middle sector, but what he did in that last sector was stunning, and that enabled him to go faster, put his car into P1. Harry Kane, the Dutchman, who's gone 2.5 tenths up in that middle sector. Let's see if he could throw his car amongst the mix there. Well, it's going to be quite difficult because he needs to find a bit more time in that final sector. About a few more tenths is Harry Kane chucking his cars through the final two corners. Let's see what lap time he could set as he crossed the line. It's a 4.1, so good improvement there, but not enough to move up position.
Yeah, I think we're going to play. Penalties are going to play a big part in this race tonight, Indigo. Especially when guys are getting elbows out and stuff. But yeah, it's certainly a very unforgiving track with corner cutting.
I agree, it's brutal. I like as well back in Canada we saw a lot of people picking up those penalties, so I expect the same scenario, or if not worse, tonight. Burmeister making his way now towards the final corner, was a few hundreds down in that middle sector, so let's see. Yeah, that's a tenth up, over 1.5 tenths, so he did find that time back, and it's just the middle sector where it looked like he struggled on or lost time, so definitely more for that racing driver in P7. I think he scored a podium back in Canada, if I'm correct. I'm not quite sure if he did or not. It was a bit nip and tuck between Burmeister on the podium or not. There was a lot going on in that race, so I don't think he did, you know.
Martin's 2 tenths up coming into sector 3 now, Indigo, so he's going to improve. This could drop him around P7 as long as he gets these last two corners linked up.
I was trying to look for him, but I realised I was already on board with him as he makes his way towards the final corner. I was just thinking about Burmeister, but here comes Martin coming towards the line now. Let's see. Yes, he can. Wow, good lap time there from Martin.
Yeah.
And what about Hazara down in P19? Let's see what he could do on his show for Alpine, as he has the Audi Sport livery. And Kuipers has retired, along with Mackett too, so those two won't be seen during this qualifying session. And 13 minutes have already gone. You can see Hazara there taking a lot of curb on the entry and also on the exit too. That's exactly what you want to maximise the track too, as we make our way now into turn number 6, and let's see how he manages it. This middle sector of 45.8 for Zara as he makes his way now through turn 7, using all the track in turn 8, so good car placement too, making sure he doesn't leave nothing on the table as well as we make our way into the penultimate corner. Look at the amount of curb he used. Oh, that's a bit too wide, unfortunately, and that's a validation for Zara, but let's see what lap time this could have been. Oh, it's going to be a 5.8 anyway, so I don't know what I was thinking.
MSA Samed looks like he's on a half decent lap. No, he's not. Sorry, he's gone down. Unless the timing screen is wrong. He's still pushing. Yeah, he's down on his time. Must have had an incident in. Yeah, he's coming in. Yeah, forget me, mate. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, Cassidy almost lost the car. He did lose the car, but saved it. He collected it really well. Had an oversteer coming out of turn 7 there, but that unfortunately merits him to go in the pit lane now, as he did cross the white line on the exit too. But Relic's there. Oh, he's lost the car! He spins!
Oh, no.
Same place as Verstappen did back in 2018 when he lost the car, and he's beached it too. Now can he get it going? Yes, he can. And thankfully he keeps it out of the walls too. We've seen people lose it there. It's so easy to lose it. They carry a lot of speed as he gets himself on the gravel to make sure he gets out of people's way. So Relic's 2 people in a row we've seen do that now.
Niffy's on a lot now, mate. Coming through sector 2. He was only up marginally. We'll see what he's like when he comes through this timing line. Yeah, he's up by nearly 2 tenths.
Can he keep it going? I wonder, can Rogue Smithy? I think he had a qualifying ban last time. I remember both AlphaTauris not qualifying really well. I mentioned JDM.
Oh, he nearly lost it! That was close to losing it then.
Here he comes towards the line now. It's going to be a 4.2, and he found almost 4 tenths as well, so great lap time from Rogue Smithy. Finished in P8, I believe, at the Canadian Grand Prix, at his home Grand Prix too, so looks like he wants a better result now. We've got the top 4 all in close contention there, with Glock just exceeding the bar too, ahead of Samid in P2. By the way, doing a great job as well is MSA Samid. I think it's the first time I've seen him this season, so unless he's under a different name, of course.
Yeah, it's a new driver, yeah.
Great appearance so far from him. Hopefully he can do well. Is he a full-time driver?
He is, I believe.
Let's see what he could do then. Looks like Hazara, he's doing the same thing he did last lap, because I flicked on the ERS to check his ERS status and he's turned it off. So he's going out. He's going out for long runs here. That's 3 laps on a set of softs, almost doing 4 now. This will be his 4th lap on a set of softs. So is he doing long runs on the softs?
That suggests to me that he's going to try and do an aggressive 2-stop. The save is soft to do soft, medium, soft, maybe.
Well, let's see then. Will that be beneficial for him, for Hazara? And let's see if he can do it. But Oliver, who joined very late in the session, here he comes then round the final corner with the DRS enabled. This could be his first lap time then, so out of sequence with everybody else as well, and a lot of pressure on his shoulders as he hasn't got the feeling for the track yet. As we head into turn 1 for Oliver, slight oversteer on the exit, gets it collected up into turn 2, and here we are then. You see the left hand side. That's where the MotoGP riders take that line now, because they can't take it flat out through turn 2 as we know it as we come into turn 3 now, kissing the apex. We saw that massive incident back in MotoGP, I think 2020, when Morbidelli and Zarco crashed and almost took out Valentino Rossi. So that's why that little chicane's there, to slow the speed of the MotoGP riders, to make sure that never happens again. As we head into turn 4 for Oliver, decent exit there for him, as he will take the tight line through here, heading into turn number 6, into 5th gear, now 6th gear. Some people like to take it through 6th or 5th, but depend on their preference as well. 45.5 for him in that middle sector. Hazara did a 46.0 despite not pushing, so let's see where he is.
I don't know what Hazara did, but he braked just before the line. I don't know whether he was... I don't understand why he did that, but he braked almost to a standstill just before the line, and then went off going again, but obviously he's lost lap time, so unless he's going to get to the end of this lap and then go for one last final lap, very strange that.
Everybody except Jay Kings is out of the pit lane. Glock is 1/10 up in the middle sector, closing stage of qualifying now. This is very crucial to get those lap times in. No mistakes can be made now as we make our way towards the penultimate corner. Now it's the final corner, taking a lot of curve, a bit too much, and Glock hasn't validated it. He won't be able to go for another one due to the lack of ERS. He was a 10th up as well, but that little validation just cost him there. It's a shame, pushing the limits of the track, but a bit too much there for Glock, and the result for that invalidation. So that's the punishment for him. What about Laser in P2? What can he do? Some of the on the outlets. Laser's down. Will he have enough fuel and ERS to go for another lap? 24 seconds left. He's got it on the clock, but I don't think he's got any more left in that disposal to try and get himself on another lap time. Where's MDJ? Just crossed the line now. So loads of drivers, a lot of drivers on their flying laps. It's quite difficult to go on board with who here due to a lot of invalidations and mistakes.
Yeah, Oliver just crossed the line, but he ran out of ERS coming down sector 3. He did improve slightly. He's now putting a P14. He's crossed the line now, and he's done.
I'm just trying to think who to go on board with here. Harry Kane just came towards the first corner. I think that's his last attempt. That was very nip and tuck between Harry Kane and the line there. So I'm going to stay on board with MSA Samid in P3 there, because he's closest towards the line, I think, out of all of them. Laser's back in the pit lane, so unfortunate for Laser there, but Samid then making his way towards the middle sector. He's down, a few hundreds down that middle sector is the driver. So let's see if he can find more time in this last sector. Somebody just crossed the line. Martin to go up into P6. Burmeister stays in P9. Wesker finishes in P8. J Kings in P15 with a 4.9, unfortunately, as Samid makes his way towards the final corner. Let's see if he's finding his time in this final sector. Yes, he has. He goes up into P2. What about MDJ? He's a few hundreds down. Let's see what he can do. Oh, he can't do anything. Just missed out, did MDJ the Dutchman. But what about Harry Kane? He's a few hundreds down the middle sector too. So this last part of qualifying starting to put the pressure on drivers as we make our way into the final corner. Decent final corner there for Harry Kane. What's the reward for him as he crosses the line? P5. Good job.
Yeah, like I said at the start of this qualifying, I was expecting it to be about 1.6 between P1 and last place. And obviously, Kakamaki haven't set a lap. Not sure what Hazara was doing, and Oriuglas is reserve. But 1.3 up to Jack Kings is kind of what I expected, really. Very tight at the top, though. I mean, half a second between P7 and P1.
And Laser says he bottled his lap time, so what could a Laser done as well? But he didn't have the time, the ERS or the fuel to go for that one flying lap. He had the time, but nothing else to the equation.
I wouldn't like to be in Glock's position on a track like this. I would not like to be leading. You have to really be aggressive in the first 2 laps, try and break that DRS. It's going to be a bit of a DRS train from at least P1 to P5 where Harry Kane's sitting. But yeah, I want that to be in Glock's position. It's a very difficult track to defend when leading.
It is, mate. You don't want to be first at DRS. Me and probably you have experienced this ourselves. Being first in that
Yeah.
DRS train is not nice at all because you have cars will wait to the end of the race to overtake you with all that DRS and the ERS you have as well. So Glock there is vulnerable, but let's see how they all play it out. Then this could be a strategic race between all of them. What tyres will they opt to go for as well? As Glock says, he bottled a .4. We saw that, Glock, but that was the final corner where he just caught you out.
Well, for me, Indigo, if you are doing the one stop, you have to start on at least mediums or softs. There's no point starting on hards because you just lose so much time to the people on the softer tyre. I was trying a two-stop in one of my GP modes last night, and I pitted lap, I think 10 laps from the end for softs. I was leading by about 4 seconds, and I managed to claw my way back up to about 5th place. So it's very, very grippy on fresh tyres, and normally I wouldn't say the two-stop would work. I don't think it'll be a winning strategy, but I certainly think people can claw positions back by doing the two-stop. I may eat my words there, but we'll see.
Oh, it depends as well if a late safety car does appear during the race. Austria Grand Prix, also weather can be a play factor here too, so don't discount that. We had quite a few qualified sessions in Austrian qualifying, I think, in real life back in 2020 as well, where we saw that torrentious rain, but Hamilton went on to take pole. I think it was ahead of Verstappen too, but yeah, rain is known. I think 2016 also we had a bit of a wet start to the race as well, if I look back at my history. But yeah, these races can always be interesting. We saw the battle between Leclerc and Verstappen towards turn 3 from lap 67 towards 71, so they always had a great battle. Rosberg and Hamilton down at turn number 3, we all remember that one, of course, with the tense rivalry between the two. Hamilton going for his 3rd championship and Rosberg going for his 4, sorry, because he had it 3 times before that too. So yeah, we've always seen plenty of battles around here. DRS trains is also a factor around here too. So 3 DRS zones keep you intact, and let's see which out of these guys is the first one to break up in that.
I've just noticed as well, I don't know if you can see it on your screen, it looks like one of the drivers has got like a reactive front wing outside the pit garage. Might actually be just some graphic glitching, but yeah, it's a funky wing that's outside one of the garages there. So yeah, just remember as well, mate, we're going straight into the race. There's no formation lap, and it will be a go, go, go.
Yeah, no messing around with formation lap as we experienced. We tried it in the last update, but it doesn't work at all, so we're going to keep it off for the time being, unless EA sort their mess out, because a lot of glitches recently, hence we're having the multiplayer cars rather than the actual F123 cars, which doesn't help us whatsoever to identify who's who. I can remember some drivers and teams, but it gets a bit confusing now and then.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so bear with us tonight, guys, when we're trying to locate the on-track action.
I may say a wrong team, like if, for example, someone's in a Red Bull and I say Mercedes, I try and do my best to remember who's in what team. I definitely remember both AlphaTauris and both Alfa Romeos. I don't know why, those two always stand out for me. Those drivers in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to remember what team Smithy's driving for, because he's always going elbows out with someone, isn't he? But but yeah, so it shouldn't be too long till we get underway, and obviously it's going to be a very, very aggressive drag up to that turn 1, and then obviously the difficult back straight that goes down the hill and up to turns. It's actually turn 3 in it because of the dog leg before the first corner. But yeah, up to turns 3 and 4, be a long drag up that hill. I imagine ERS will play a big part in this. I think people who use too much ERS in the first few laps will then become weak for laps 4, 5 and 6. So clever ERS and slipstreaming is going to play a big part in the opening stages of this race.
Yeah, I agree. As the lights will come on then to signal the drivers when to go. 5 lights are on. And we are away for the Austrian Grand Prix. That looks like 4th place MDJ lost a bit of ground there. He's under huge pressure from Harry Kane and Rogue Smithy. However, the top 3 saw themselves out further behind. Looks like Harry Kane is having a fight with Smithy. MDJ's dropped 2 places after bogging out after the start then. Not good reaction time there for MDJ's now. Smithy and Harry Kane take advantage, but they still go side by side with Smithy. Then let's see how they all make it out going into turn number 3. Late to the brakes there. You can see is Rogue Smithy and MDJ once again. Bit of contact down there. That's a Ferrari, I think, who's made contact.
Cassidy just got a bit of a sandwich as well. He went for a very clean outside line. I believe it was... It's hard to tell in these cars, but he ended up being 3 wide coming out of the corner. He got sandwiched, so I do suspect That'll be in the stewards, and also Mackett just getting a bit untidy there, sideswiping one of the drivers.
Yeah, I saw that. They were 3 wide down the straight, and he outbroke himself. But there's that DRS train already. 1.2 seconds is Sonic Hawk away, so he's lost out a little bit towards Martin. So before the DRS is enabled, while the sort of subs are, he needs to get himself back in that DRS range to stay in contention with the rest. Otherwise, those 3 will pull up. That top 8 will pull away due to the power of the DRS. But Sonic Hawk immediately gets himself back in that DRS range as Glock then sets the fastest lap in this race in the Red Bull then, so he's looking to impress at Red Bull's home Grand Prix there ahead of Samid in P2. Laser out behind MDJ, then finally overtakes Rose Smith. He gets himself back into P5. A dismal start, but he only lost 1 place in the process, had to fight very hard. However, Relics down to P19, Oreo Glass as well is losing places. He's dropped into P19, and MDJ still got Rose Smith. He always made contact there. I think he lost traction, and now Wesker might take advantage. Wesker from P9 goes up into P6 then, so what a great start from Wesker. And looks like they're both on the medium compound tyres, so while I get the graphics sorted, there it is, the tyre allocations. Top 5 on the medium compound tyres. Oliver side by side with Mackett as we make our way once again. Those 2 made contact on the lap previous, and Oliver, hopefully this time, remains unscathed as Oreo Glass overtakes Jack Kings. He's on the soft compound tyres, interestingly, the only one on the softs too, so we have to make up a lot of ground on those softs. But the medium runners will hound these hard runners.
Yeah, I'm really surprised at the choice of the tyres that they've gone for here. I mean, Rogue Smithy was going for an overtake before he lost that traction. But yeah, I really am surprised that they've decided, a lot of these drivers decided to start on the hard tyre. They've probably got about 7 or 8 laps to make use of them before the hard tyres have really warmed up and start actually being faster than the mediums, or maybe a bit more. I think they've probably Delta crossover is probably lap 10. But yeah, they need to jump on this straight away.
Yeah, medium runners then need to capitalise as Relics in the Alfa Romeo has got a 5-second speeder penalty in the pit lane then, so not going well for him at all. As Oliver once again side by side with Mackett, those 2 will not leave each other alone. As Hazara making it 3 wide, will he gets forced onto the grass. Mackett there, a bit aggressive with defending. Hazara's in a spin there as Mackett forced him all the way to the right, which put Hazara on the grass. Didn't see it fully, but it definitely sent him a spin, so that's a bit of a Mazepin thing in F2 right there in Bahrain.
Yeah, we saw also in the background as well. We just saw, I think it was Jack Kings and Hazara and Kuipers all getting elbows out and a bit of squirreliness going on. So certainly drivers just try to find the grip levels of these tyres and not quite finding it the correct balance.
I think
Rogue Smithy picks up the first penalty for corner cutting as well.
Oh, Rogue Smith is there. I did see Wesker in front of him, who also had a bit of a moment without the Pluswood corner on the previous lap, so he's definitely got a warning to his name for exceeding track limits. But here we are then, the medium runners are not able to take advantage on these hard runners then. So if the hard runners can stay in formation as they are, this will be beneficial because they will switch onto that medium shortly, and that's when the hard runners later on will get under pressure too. So not looking good for these medium runners so far, looking to capitalise, but they're a victim in this DRS train on different tyres, so it's not working out for them whatsoever. But Wesker, I thought MDJ got swallowed up there by the guys behind because he's on the hard compound tyres, but the guys behind started on the mediums. But Harry Kane there managed to defend from Rogue Smithy, who's dropped now into P7 after trying to fight Harry Kane for P4. But yeah, it's not looking great for him so far. But here we are, the top 5 in formation. These guys will all work together in this first part of the race. They're not going to squabble with each other. They're just going to settle down now, follow each other in this big DRS train, unless they have to overtake if they get pressured by the medium runners. But yeah, it's going to be tactical racing to try and keep it as they are and not fight too much and wait later on until the mediums start coming to play.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'm really concerned about for this front pack, obviously the medium runners in P6 down to P10 are going to have to pit a little bit earlier than those guys. But then obviously the tyre grip on fresh tyres is colossal. So they've probably only got about, I'd say, 2 laps after that where they need to make a decision whether they're on course to stay in front or whether they need to pit early. And the medium tyres, the medium runners, just might be able to force these guys into early pit stops, providing there's no safety car. So it's an interesting choice from all of them. I'm really intrigued to find how this is going to pan out. And DJ just on the back of Harry Kane now, a lot closer as we're approaching Sector 3. But are these guys saving? I don't know. But this is the thing, are these guys just happy just tagging along with each other? Is this the plan that they've kind of settled between themselves? I don't know. But they're certainly not disadvantaged like I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I thought I'd get swallowed up by those guys behind. I didn't have time to check the tyres either after that start of the race. But it looks like a clean start. Looks like all got away unscathed except to Hazara. Hazara made up great ground, by the way, putting pressure on the level of plays, but unfortunately there, his strategy hasn't gone well because he had no qualifying ban. Maybe he thought he had really good pace. As you can see there, Harry Kane all over the back of Laser there, who's putting him under huge pressure, also being followed by MDJ there. So Harry Kane having to think about attacking and defending. Rogue Smithy up into P6 now ahead of Wesker. Let's have a look how this battle unfolds as we now head into turn number 3. Harry Kane sees MDJ's fellow Dutchman all the way around the outside. Let's see who gets better traction. MDJ gets better traction. Now side by side, that's a great lunge there from MDJ, especially around the outside too. And now he's having to defend with Harry Kane putting that pressure on him, trying to get the plays back.
This is what could actually trip them guys up. If they're going to start fighting with each other, this could actually bring Rogue, Smithy, Wesker and Martin into play. So they need to be careful about fighting here.
You know what, despite fighting each other, the top 5, well, I say top 5, MDJ and then Harry Kane, Rogue Smithy is actually 1 second out of DRS range, but he's actually brought himself back into play due to these middle sector. The turbulent air, these guys all in close contention, not able to have the speed they want, whereas Rogue Smithy was out of it, was able to claw his way back in. So that was very important for Rogue Smithy to just stay there, as Burmeister has been fighting with Zenon. Then not a place you would expect to see overtaken, but I presume he made a mistake at turn 8, did Zenon, so that allowed Burmeister through. But lap 7 out of 36 then, Glock maintains the lead, all following each other until the latest stage of this race, not getting themselves mixed up with the medium runners.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just on board with MDJ, and there's a distinct difference between him and the other runners in front and behind. Obviously, I can't say on stream, but yeah, there's a distinct difference between MDJ and everyone else.
Yeah, MDJ trying to make amends after the Canadian Grand Prix. Just didn't have the pace, maybe not his favourite circuit at all. So here he is then back in P4 like he was back in Spain, fighting with Glock, Samid and Laser. Laser there also having much better pace than Canada because he was stuck with Oliver throughout the whole race. I watched the stream back, he was actually with Oliver every single lap at the Canadian Grand Prix. So just glued to each other, and that's when the battle happened at the end when they were fighting over a podium / win. But it got a bit controversial after that. But Hazara, Casti, Zenom, they're having their own fight there, but yellow flags came out as a result, and that's Casti, unfortunately, who was involved in that battle, so he drops down further through the field. I think 2 drivers, Oliver picks up a penalty, 2 drivers spun there in qualified at turn 8, so it's proven to be a difficult corner. It is a difficult corner, but it's so easy to catch people out.
Yeah, Harry just obviously clinging on for dear life now, trying to keep on the back of MDJ. He's going to get Smithy right on his gearbox now. So Smithy now in contention to actually put some pressure on. Both have got DRS. Wesker's just missed out on DRS, and he's now got Martin on his tail. So Martin now comes into this mix. So if Martin's going to put pressure on Wesker, this could actually bring him into the mix at the front. Again, the medium tyre guys, it's going to be difficult with strategy, but it's not over. We're on lap 8 of this race. So yeah, this could be a very important stage of this race for these drivers.
It is indeed. A Drag King's fighting with Kuipers, then they're going side by side. But Hazara back into P14 there. Looks like he's got some good pace.
Rogue Smithy spin.
Oh dear, where is that?
Pull up the corner nearly. Wow, yeah. So Rogue Smithy now spinning out, and he's lost a handful of places.
And that's great news for the hard runners because it split them up now with the DRS.
Yeah, I'd love to know what happened with Smithy there, but yeah, he just went off into the gravel. Not what he wanted, and certainly not going to help his race. That does release Wesker now, though. 3-way battle now. We've got Martin, Wesker, and Sonic all in the mix.
Look at the top 3 then. MDJ is fighting alongside his disposed Laser. Laser then has lost a place. What about Samid? Will he overtake Glock? Because he looked like he was about to in turn 3, but backs out of it. Now we head into turn 4. He stays behind. So MDJ, great moves in this DRS train. Wesker versus Martin. And Martin is up into P6 ahead of Wesker there. But this is the problem with those medium runners. Rogue Smithy versus Mackett. As you can see, Rogue Smithy is trying to recover from that spin out of turn 8, where some people have spun there too. So that is a corner that is catching people out. And he is in P9 defending from... So he's still inside the top 10 despite that spin, so not a lot of position losses, of course, but it's definitely cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, another thing to remember as well, mate, for this season we're doing full tally scoring system, so although in the top 10 you get the better points, everyone does score points, so it keeps the racing going from the front to the back regardless of what happens, so hopefully this will keep everyone fighting for those positions on the very, very crucial points.
Yeah, like Reddit's done a P20. I don't know what happened to him at the start, but he had a speeding penalty too, so I thought he could retire. But he's still in there. He's still in the race, hoping for a safety car at least. As Samid there, it looks like Glock went a bit wide cut out of turn number 3. Now Samid's all over the back of him, but it looks like MDJ is trying to force Samid to overtake. In fact, he's going to make the move himself as he goes side by side into turn 4. You don't be third in this DRS train, but here we are. Samid has been overtaken by MDJ, and I thought MDJ was pressurising Samid to overtake Glock to get him to first place, as MDJ will take on Glock himself, but turns out to be MDJ's on the move with Rogue Smithy versus Mackett now. Once again, we're headed down into turn number 6 of these two. It's so close racing, and yellow flags. Kuipers, I think. Wait, what's going on there? It looks like a bit of a pile-up. 2 cars have collided.
Oh, wow.
I'm not quite sure what's gone off there, but MDJ then from 5th up into P2, closed the DRS because you don't want to make a move into turn 1, because that's a risky move, because turn 1 there, it's a dodgy corner indeed if you get it wrong, especially with the outside line, because if you go off at turn 1 you likely lose traction as well with the bump there too, so you be very careful not to go side by side through there. Cassidy gets a 3-second time penalty for good measure, as MDJ then in a really great position. Looks like he's got some great pace this second half, and he's showing it too, putting pressure on Glock. He started down in P5, dropped to P6 after losing 1 place to I think it was Rogue Smithy, and now he's pressurising the leader then. So it looks like the start of the race hasn't phased him at all, and now putting pressure on the guy ahead who's currently first. These two had a great battle back in Spain, but we all know how that ended. But hopefully this time out it's a bit clean. I know Glock didn't mean it intentionally, but it's one of those things in racing where you'll make those mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are so close, and I'm very surprised that these have been able to actually stay with each other's DRS, because there's usually 1 or 2 drivers that absolutely excel around here. So it's actually been really good that these 4 at the front have actually been swapping positions. But I've been tracking the Martin, Westcott and Sonic Hawk battle, and I've got a feeling these guys have just settled into it now, and they want to try and take these mediums a little bit more. Bearing in mind, these mediums, you've probably only got about 6 laps left of these, unless you're going for a 2-stop, and then we'll start seeing them coming in the next lap or 2. But yeah, I've got a feeling Martin, Wesker and Sonic, they're just settling in now to try and eke these out as long as possible.
Yeah, they got to now. They dropped off the DRS between Harry Kane and Martin. The gap is 4.1 then, so it's been quite difficult to get back in the DRS. I think the hard compound tyres may be slightly better at this stage as well. The crossover point between those 2 tyres, as Rogue Smithy has overtaken Mackett once again. So those 2 having their personal battles down there for P9 and P10. Mackett's still alongside too, with Smithy having the DRS. But as we head into turn number 4, let's see who wins out of this battle. As you can see there, Mackett late to the brakes alongside Smithy, but which one of them will get better traction? Looks like Mackett so far, and he puts his car into P9. So great 4-way battle between these guys. 5-way battle now as JDM is at the back of this train. But yeah, it's all spiced up between people in different groups having their own different battles.
Again. Rogue Smith with another penalty again, so yeah, that's he's not having the race he wanted today, that's for sure. But the top 9 all penalty free at this stage.
And that's very important as well towards the later stage of this race. If you're that close in the DRS train all bunched together, penalties can definitely have an effect, as we saw back in the Canadian Grand Prix with Harry Kane. But what's MDJ's strategic play? What's his move? He's going to make a move now, and he overtakes Glock. So now he's first in this DRS train. He decides to put himself in that position. Final corner.
He will get DRS here though, won't he? No, he won't. Oh, right. Sorry, mate. Go on.
I was about to say somebody spun at the final corner. It was Cassidy. He drops into P19. So also spun twice this race. JDM and Hazara having their fight. Looks like Hazara on the recovery drive once again. He got into P12 earlier in this race, but had a spit or got put to the grass. But here comes JDM once again. Down into turn 4 we go. So it looks like he's making a move back, but Hazara, has he got the grip around the outside? Let's see if he does, but obviously JDM will use that ERS to stay ahead, and he maintains P12 from the time being. So Hazara at the back of this DRS train, not a great place to be. I wonder if he regrets doing what he did in qualifying. I would love to see Hazara in the top 5 fight there, because throwing him into the equation after seeing his great pace, it would have been an incredible battle between those guys. Also Burmeister, but it looks like Burmeister this race doesn't have the pace here in Austria to match those guys ahead.
Yeah, it's quite strange, but I mean, they've certainly got 3 groups now. You kind of, well, yeah, you've got the lead group, you've got a little mixed group with Martin, and then another rear group, and obviously a few stragglers. So we've certainly got 3 races kind of going on now, but I'm expecting to see these medium runners come in anytime soon, because they're just losing time now. It's now 5.2 seconds that Martin's dropped. You know, remember, they have to do a pit stop and then try and make up, and the hard tyre guys do not seem to be slowing down. If anything, they're in the prime window of their tyre life. they're probably increasing the lap times before they're dropping off, at least for another 3 or 4 laps. Cassidy retired in the pits.
Yeah, so no safety car to interrupt people's races. I think a safety car for these hard runners would be great too if they could switch on to the mediums, but 14 laps then, those medium runners have taken it. It's not worked out for them at all during this race. They'll continuously lose time towards the top 5 there, with Martin will drop off because these guys having DRS on each other will just pull away from Martin. Martin's got his own things to worry about with Wesker and Sonic Hawk right behind him then, so it's all down to the top 5 there, and Harry Kane being last in that DRS. Rogue Smithy picks up another penalty then, so it looks like he's going for the winner of the penalties. But who's that car coming out the pit lane? That's Cassidy's retired car. I was wondering why those guys were jolted to the left, but it was a retired car back out track.
What would you do here if you were Martin Indigo? Because obviously he's now 6 seconds. He's only losing more and more time. Would you not pit now and do 22 laps on the hards?
That's a good question actually. I've never been.
Or would you try and wait for a safety car or something?
Go hanging for a safety car. Safety cars most likely come around this track because it's so easy to hit the walls around here, and the difficulty of this track too with loads of penalties. But I'm not quite sure with this what I'd do. It depends, like, I don't know really. It's easier said than done because I'm trying to imagine myself in his position. I keep losing time towards the top 5. Wesker's on my tail. Will I go for the undercut and try to stay ahead of Wesker and Sonic Hawk? I can't catch these guys ahead of me, so I think I've got to focus on the race behind me rather than in front because I keep losing time. Plus, I've got no EOS either at my disposal, so it's going to be quite difficult to try and catch up to the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think Martin's obviously a better racer than I am. I personally would be coming in now. At least at the end of this lap, maybe try and just get past that 1 second mark to Wesker so you don't get DRS when you pit. But
there's a spinner there. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just caught the aftermath.
Sonic Hawk.
Yeah, it is Sonic Hawk. I just flicked on board. I tried to go on board because I saw the gap closing and closing, but I think he tried to go for a lunge on turn 1, but obviously it didn't pay off. So, not really a conventional place to overtake into turn 1. You want to wait for turn 3 or 4, but he tried to do something different, but didn't pay out. So, that's a lesson learned next time. You don't want to go for it to turn 1 because you lose a lot of time going side by side. You lose a lot of time on the straight there too, for good measure. So now it's left Martin and Wesker to be alone with Mackie just 2.2 behind. But yeah, it's a shame there.
A relatively incident-free race so far, to be apart from a little bit scrappy at the start on the opening lap. But I think that's only the only significant incident we've seen this race, which is really positive. Oliver now getting a penalty as well.
Yeah, as well as
Hazara. Drivers. Comment.
There you go, and I was about to say Hazara. He's diving to the pit lane, I think. Yeah, he is.
Okay, so that's the first hard runner. That's early for the hards, I think, though. Yeah. That'll be 19 laps on mediums, unless he's going to switch to a 2-stop.
With the fuel going down as well, the track rubbering in, I think a 1-stop is the way to go unless the safety car comes out. Wesker is right behind Martin, now he overtakes him with the helping hand of DRS then. So I think Hazara pitted because he was last in that DRS train. He knows he's losing a lot of time. He can't make up the position as Rogue Smithy gets pinched on the curb, and Mackett has to take a forward in action there, goes around the outside. Might have to give the place back towards Rogue Smithy. I think that's the other way. I think he has. No, he hasn't. He's still side by side. So there he is then with Mackett, and Mackett might go back down the inside, but he can't do it as Rogue Smithy has the race in line. But yeah, so Hazara's case, he's on the mediums now. He's going to have a huge undercut with those fresher mediums against all the mediums and hards.
Oh, Mackett went for an undercut on Rogue Smithy and just totally misjudged it, and he's span out now. That could be a safety car. Has he got going again? Yeah, he has. Yeah, that was a desperate lunge by Mackett there to go on the inside of that corner. Did not work out whatsoever.
I'm also surprised as well about Rogue Smithy because he just dropped 2 places out of turn 8, so I wonder if he's another driver to make a mistake out of that corner. But it looked like he saved the car, but he's lost him 2 places then, so it looks like a lot of drivers at this stage struggling back. Yeah, I'm intrigued about that pit stop. Here comes Glock once again on MDJ, goes up the inside. No, he doesn't. He stays behind. He tucks in. So once, let's say like 20 out of 21, which one of the top 5 will go for a pit stop? Harry Kane was alongside Laser, but stays behind. But I think for people like Harry Kane,
I'd be Laser. I'd be going in if I were Laser, put it that way. Get the undercut done. What do you think?
I was going to say Harry Kane and Laser, they're stuck in that DRS train, they can't make any moves. Rogue Smithy spun out of turn 2. Don't know what happened to him, but he's dropped to 2 places now. Still in 10th place after those spins, but now Oliver's about to take action, and looks like, who else is that? Mackett coming too, but he's too far behind. No, he hits him, Mackett hits him, but luckily no damage sustained.
Yeah, his tyres are gone, mate, or at least scorched anyway. What's Smithy doing there? Smithy just crowding a driver after he made a mistake.
I'm off board. Yeah, I'm off board with him. I'm board with Glock now. Glock is the first man to pit in that DRS train. So, Hurricane, Laser, Samid, MDJ will have to respond now. And also in the pit lane comes Wesker too. So, Martin's still out there on those medium compound tyres, taking a long stint on those mediums. And his tyre... There's a virtual safety car. What has happened?
Smithy. It's Smithy in the pit lane. He didn't make the corner and slammed into the barrier and he retired. Yeah, so it was Smithy. I think it was Smithy that did that.
This is not good news for the man that's just came out of the pit lane, which was
Glock.
Yeah, Glock. Sorry, I was trying to think about what happened there, but Glock there in P8. Then it's not good news for him because the virtual safety car.
I don't think it hinders him, mate. They're that far behind the actual next lap. I don't think it's going to matter. Because they're all reduced to 40% pace, but no one's close enough yet, apart from the back runners who are pitting. So I don't think this is going to... Yep, there you go, green flag, so he's back racing now. So that didn't actually affect him, I don't think, mate.
Samid is in the pit. Yeah, I was about to say, if it stayed out a bit too long, because I know the virtual safety car is a bit weird with the timers there. It stays out quite a long time, it stays out for short periods. But into the pit lane comes Samid then. So Hurricane, Laser and MDJ did not go for a pit stop on that VSC. They were at the final corner when it was deactivated. So where's Glock going to rejoin? I don't think he's lost a lot of time, like you said, because the virtual safety car did stay out there longer. So here comes Glock around the final corner, sets the fastest sector as we head into terminal. There's a car ahead of him of Burmeister, and where is... There he is, Samid's in P7 there. You can see the undercut has worked there. Well, it's not an undercut because Glock was ahead of him, but still, look at the time difference as well between those two. As you can see, Glock is right behind some traffic of JDM now and Burmeister, so he's got to dispose of them very quickly. He can't afford to be fighting with these guys on older tyres, otherwise the top of the guys will pull away. But he's side by side now with Burmeister who has DRS. Different scenarios, by the way, in this race as well, as those two were fighting quite close to each other back in Spain and Canada. But this time round, Burmeister is a different scenario in this race in comparison to Glock. And now here comes Glock on JDM. Won't be easy in these slow speed corners. You'll be very careful too. You've got to adapt to their speeds in these corners. It's so easy to wipe somebody out with different tyres in these fast speed corners. But Glock then alongside of JDM, and that was a very crucial move.
That was a very smooth move as well. He knew exactly where to put that car. He knew exactly when to put the traction down. And yeah, absolutely textbook from Glock there. I think this is actually going to catapult him into a massive lead when these guys pit. I reckon it's going to be 6 seconds.
MDJ has decided to stay out there for a few more laps then, so the gap is 13.7, and Medix has retired in the pit lane. Wesker's got a 3-second tap on it too, so I'm a bit nervous now towards the stage with a safety car because I keep seeing yellow flags everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's coming. I mean, people are on worn tyres now. I think pretty much everyone's pitted apart from Zenon and MDJ. Yeah, the only two drivers that haven't pitted now, Zenon and MDJ, but Glock's 4 seconds in front of Samad, and I think by the time MDJ pits, I mean, I was guessing about 6 seconds it'd come out, but yeah, 4 seconds at the minute. So that was crucial for Glock, getting past those drivers. I reckon in clean air, it could have been close to the 6 second mark, and yeah, MDJ finally decides to pit.
I think MDJ will fall behind, if I'm not mistaken, in between Laser and Hurricane, if that's the case. But let's see where he rejoins. Maybe behind Hurricane too. And Hazara, the man who pitted first out of everybody, he's in P6. Glock sets the fastest lap of this race. He will go through with MDJ. Samid now sets the fastest lap of this race too. So the DRS train has been split up due to undercuts, people pitting at different times then. So now they're at the DRS train in free air. Let's see their true potential pace without the helping hand of DRS, because DRS is so easy to stay in somebody else's DRS range because of the 3 detection points as well and the extra speed. But without DRS, let's see their true potential pace. MDJ slots in just in front of Hurricane there he is in P4, like I said, in between Laser and Hurricane. But now they both have DRS. Hurricane has DRS to the back of Laser, so he hasn't lost him for the time being, but Laser has lost his touch towards Samid, so he needs to close that gap down after staying out there 1 lap later.
Yeah, the only thing about Hazara pitting so early, obviously he's still got another 14 laps to do, so that'll be up to 18 laps stint on the mediums. I know it's on lighter fuel, but he's going to have to do a bit of defensive work as well, because he's got Zenon and Wesker on his tail. So I'd like to see him finish where he is, but I'm not sure he's going to have the tyres at the end of this race to be competitive.
We're about to find out. Look at Zenon with 21 lap old medium tyres, and the only man I think hasn't pitted in this race now, under pressure from Wesker and Martin right behind him too. So I dare say Zenon there will be a dropping stone, and Wesker will dispose him easily on the straight too with those old medium compound tyres. But this is a very important scenario now in this race. MDJ has cost himself a few positions, but is it worth it now? 3 laps fresher tyres. I know it's only 3 or 4 laps difference, but in this game module it can make a huge difference as well. Maybe in real life it doesn't really matter, but in the game module it's different, because I don't know what it is with the game module, just a set tyre life you lose on each lap.
I think Zenon's going to try and go soft, you know. I
Potentially.
don't understand what else he can do.
That's a potential thing as well. I think somebody started the soft compound tyres during this race, but I can't remember who it was. Maybe Jag Kings?
Yeah, I think it was Jag Kings. Let me triple check.
Right, so MDJ then has caught up to Laser, dragging along Hurricane 2. So Laser, no DRS for the first time in this race, will have MDJ, the Flying Dutchman, who stayed out later to have the best tyre life towards the end, is going to be under huge pressure then. Glock, MDJ sets the fastest lap of the race. Glock continues to extend his advantage then. So I've seen this scenario before when some people have stayed out later, only about 2 or 3 laps, and they caught a huge amount of time with the tyre difference. MDJ is up into P3 then, 2.1 to go. But will MDJ now be the leader of this DRS train? Will he, if he does have the pace to claw himself back towards Samid, he will drag along Laser and Hurricane too. So we'll be back to this DRS train. But Samid there, can he close the gap?
Yeah. It is soft for Zenon. I thought it would be. And it was Jag Kings that started on softs, mate.
Interesting. Then mediums to softs and soft to mediums for those two. Don't really see that strategy nowadays in the Formula 1 cars. But JDM, he's all over the back now. Martin overtakes Wesker. He goes up into P7. You can see the battle just ahead of us as JDM tries to sneak around the outside, but nothing doing on that occasion. Got forced onto the curb, which was fair enough. And Burmeister there stays in P9. And he wants to catch up to these two as well. Wesker and Martin on the hard compound tyres. So Burmeister, doing the mediums to hard strategy, should be a bit quicker than the two ahead of him, as MDJ then sets the pace with a 5.5, 2/10 quicker than I think Glock's fastest lap. So MDJ is on the charge, 1.4 seconds, the gap was 1.9, and he's gained a huge chunk amount of time. But bearing in mind though, he's had to sacrifice his ERS. He's got the fresher tyres, but he doesn't have the ERS then, so that's something that MDJ needs to watch out for later on in this race.
I'm just checking that gap between Hazara and Martin. I don't think Martin's bringing his time down quick enough to put pressure on Hazara later on this race. It's fluctuating, but I've got a feeling if Hazara can keep this clean, he might actually get 6th place here. He's made 12 positions up from the start of this race, so obviously at this moment in time is the game's driver of the day. So yeah, he could be very well in for a decent run here.
And Burmeister going side by side with Wesker, so he definitely caught up to him very quickly and overtaken him too. And he swings around the outside to take P8 away from Wesker. Now it's Mackett's turn, JDM's turn, further behind in that AlphaTauri, as he will try to overtake him to try and stay with Burmeister. Burmeister's next target in Martin, but yeah, I definitely noticed the gap between Martin and Hazara. Actually, it went up a few laps ago too, because I remember the gap being 5 seconds, now it's 7 seconds. So Hazara's got some decent pace on those medium compound tyres. It's the case of when, because his tyres will be 19 laps old. So we saw Zenon do 21 laps, but they were dropping off dramatically. But let's see how Hazara
copes. They do drop
copes.
off around here quickly as well. It's like a light switch. It just turns the traction off.
And then DJ in P3 is not able to get that DRS range. He's got Laser pressurising him. But if Laser plays it smart here, if he just doesn't pressurise MDJ, allows MDJ to catch up towards Samid, maybe Laser have a chance of P2. But Glock's got this in the bag, you know, in P1. So he was one of the first ones to pit out of this lot, and it's worked out so far. But will it bite him in the end with tyre life? I know, like I said,
I think MDJ could be. I think MDJ could be a cat amongst the pigeons later on this race, though. He's on the freshest tyre.
MDJ 1.2, so he's almost in that DRS range. I think Samid has also brought the gap down to Glock, and it's just fluctuating between 2.9 and 3.1.
Let's have a look at this now. Yeah.
Oh, Martin's got a penalty.
Yeah, there's some very varying levels of battery amongst all the drivers at this moment in time. Obviously, we can't say on stream, but there's definitely 1 or 2 drivers from front, middle and rear packs that are disadvantaged with their ERS levels at this moment in time.
MDJ had to obliterate us to try and catch up towards Sammy. You can see the flashing light at the back of that car. But will it be beneficial for him later on in this race? He had to sacrifice it at some point due to staying out very later. That's the sacrifice you have to make as well if you start later, because you've got to make your way back. But you have the tyre life to go with it, but not the battery, as the guys ahead can save battery too. So MDJ then 7/10, he's got himself a DRS train of Samid then. So Samid will be under pressure, and let's see how easy or difficult. How will MDJ play this out? Will he save a bit of battery behind Samid in these last few stages of this laps?
I think he needs to save from now, to be honest with you, mate. We keep seeing that light flashing on the back of his car when you're on board with laser, so certainly needs to start saving now, I would say.
In the chat, hello Jordan Newman, how you doing, mate? Hopefully you're doing alright. I tried to read the comments too, but it's a bit hard. But the gap between Martin and his decreased to 6.7 as MDJ just forcing Samid under the pressure. Harry Kane up the inside, a laser then, as they both almost connect and take each other out. But Harry Kane up into P4 had a laser, so laser now back in the DRS train. Here comes MDJ alongside Samid. He's up into P2 he goes, and Wesker is overtaken JDM. Martin has been overtaken by Meister for P7. Wesker JDM constantly trading positions down in P9 and P10. Here they are. It looks like JDM is finally ahead for the time being. A Wesker crucial there on the medium compound tyres. Took him a few laps, but nevertheless he got past him. Same with Burmeister. They both made the overtake on Harvarders on the same lap, did those two in the same place too. So they got themselves in between themselves for Harvard has Burmeister. Yeah. Martin.
I've just been checking penalties and warnings, and we've got laser on 2 warnings, and we've also got MDJ on 2 warnings. So these two need to be really careful not to get penalties, or that will knock them out of contention for any sort of a good result at the front of the pack.
Yeah, we saw Harry Kane picking up those penalties. Look what happened to him. He dropped from first outside the podium. So on this occasion, Harry Kane is currently clean on penalties so far. And down the inside, who's that? That's Harry Kane versus Samid then. So Harry Kane is starting to make moves, but you can see he got bogged down there with traction. Samid had the outside line, was able to get the throttle earlier, but Harry Kane's coming back, into turn 4 we go. They're going side by side once again. Will Harry Kane be late on the brakes? You can see there's Samid. There's a bit enough. There's so little room there between the two. Samid had the racing line, takes P3, but they got so close down into turn before there. They made contact, but slight contact, so I was very lucky there. But Samid's lost DRS race towards MDJ now, as MDJ closed the gap from 3.2 to 2.4. This is going to be a thrilling race between the top two. Glock will see MDJ come in probably at a rate of knots as well, and now Glock knows he has to defend against MDJ. So what's the strategy plan for Glock? Would he just try and save battery before MDJ comes? Try and late?
I think that's all he's got. I mean, he's only got 2 options really: save all his battery, but obviously MDJ is going to make more time on him. And the other thing as well, Glock's going to have to try and save a bit of tyre life as well. MDJ's got the better tyre, and obviously in the game Glock will be checking the driver behind. He'll know his tyre life, he'll know when he's pitted, as Harry Kane just getting past Samid as well.
But once again, Samid's got a decent traction, better launch, but with Harry Kane now applying the ERS, moves himself up into P3 there. What about Samid? Will he come back down the inside? He was running inside the top 3 majority of this race with Samid, but now he finds himself in P4 then. So podium there looks like he's clawing away from him ever since Harry Kane and MDJ's pace. Started P2, down to P4, so same with Laser as well. Dropped from P3 to P5, 2 places lost for those two combined. So those two there lost a bit of ground, but Harry Kane then so far away from MDJ, it's going to be a straight battle for P3 between Harry Kane, Samid and Laser, because the DRS will definitely help Samid and Laser to make their way back. So Harry Kane in P3 might be under pressure later on once those two make their moves on Harry Kane. But the gap 2.1 then, so Glock will be very nervous there seeing that Mercedes coming at him at a rate of knots, but so far maintaining it well.
I think at this stage he's just on the cusp of starting to pick up that distant slipstream, so it could very well be that MDJ is happy here at the minute and he's going to save a bit of battery himself and then do another bit of a push in 2 laps time. There's only 5 laps remaining of this race, so he's running out of laps to do this.
And Harry Kane has been overtaken. Laser had made 2 for 1 there. He overtook Samid. Then in the braking zone, he took on Harry Kane. It was a great move too to move himself back into P3 from P5 to P3. Now he's the leader of this train as well. So those 3, I dare say, will constantly keep switching positions there before the end of the race as well. But the gap is now 1.8. So that car will be growing ever larger in the mirrors of Glock there. How will he defend as well? When he catches up to him, it's going to be so difficult for Glock to defend. I don't know how he's going to do it, but let's see how it all plays out. MDJ knows he's got the tyre advantage, maybe not the ERS status he has on board with that Mercedes there, but he's definitely got the tyres to do it then. So let's see how it all evolves between these two. This could be a phenomenal race with MDJ on the hunt for another win here in SFR. He won back in Monaco, had a dominant drive, but this race he had to work through it. Started P5, dropped to P6 after getting bogged down in the hards. But here he is in P2, hunting down the leader, trying to take his second win of the season to match Laser.
I've just noticed as well on board with MDJ, he's actually losing time in the braking zone. It looks like Glock's got the braking zone down a little bit better because he does lose initially, but then MDJ's got better traction and it brings it back again. So it's a bit of cat and mouse with the braking and acceleration phases between these two.
Sort of cancels each other out with the braking and accelerating too, but the gap is 1.4 now. So where's MDJ's strongest points? Is the middle sector where he gains all the time? Looks like it's
I think it's this sector he's in now. I think, mate, he looks a lot more planted, and he's closed more time back at the end of sector 2 and start of sector 3.
Glock will be aware of his penalty warning situation too, so he hopes that MDJ picks up another warning to get a penalty. My TV is about to turn off, so I need to find a remote very quickly.
Oh, the dreaded scramble for the remote.
Yeah, when you know where it is, when you know where it is, but you still nervous about it.
Yeah. So yeah, just touching on that DRS now. He's got 4 more attempts to find. And then he'll be in that DRS. 3.5 laps remaining. Will MDJ have enough in the tank when he catches him to actually make this overtake?
We're about to find out as Martin is putting Burmeister under pressure. They're actually not closing the gap towards Hazara despite being on older tyres there. And up the inside goes JDM, alongside with Burmeister. So he might lose 2 places here in one corner. Here we go then, side by side the straight, but Burmeister has the DRS. He's weaving left to right for unknown reasons as they remain in formation as we head into turn number 4. So Burmeister was almost overtaken by 2 cars. He's under pressure. Looks like Martin's hard tyres are starting to come back into play here as he's able to keep in contention. JDM, however, Maki down in P10 also trying to close in on this battle. These 3 being so close to each other with DRS there. It's close between the 2, but MDJ, 2 laps to go. The gap is 1.2. Everything in attack now. Glock's tyres will get worse and worse. MDJ's will be on the edge as well, but his tyres will be slightly better due to staying out there late on those hards. So that might benefit him towards later on in this race, which should do with 2 laps to go in this race.
I reckon Glock's been pushing when he's seen that time coming down, so it's not going to help his tyre situation. But at the same time, I reckon MGD's been really, really pushing, so that could equal it out. And it might come down to just those 3 laps of tyre life difference between these two. But it does look like the delta is just settling down. We'll see now as he's coming through sector 2 and sector 3. If this time comes down more, it has already dropped to number 10. Let's see what happens as he comes towards sector 3. Yeah, it is dropping. It is dropping. So if he can get this nailed, it might just creep into DRS.
I know what it feels like, a Glock's position to be hunted down like that. You just get so nervous. It's very easy to make mistakes as well, but Glock there maintaining the pressure. He knows MDJ is hunting him down, but still, despite all this pressure, seeing the gap just tumble down lap by lap. The gap is 1 second now, so is Glock able to have that edge over MDJ in these straights? Yes, he has. The gap is back to 1.1, so Glock, what about MDJ? Can he gain it back in the braking zone due to those pressure tyres, able to brake later? But they're both running low on the ERS, it looks like. I can see Glock's, the rear light is flashing on him, but MDJ's, I didn't see it flashing, so it looks like MDJ might have a bit more battery.
It's flashing. It's flashing.
Oh yeah, I just saw it now. Oh my goodness me, he's in the DRS range, but he doesn't get DRS on this lap due to that detection point as he was 1 second out of it. So this will come down to the final lap of this race. If MDJ can get himself, Glock has got to do all the hard work on the final lap now. He's done it so far, but 1 more lap to go. MDJ is finally in DRS range. This will be tantalizing close. Glock has got nothing left. He has no ERS. He hasn't got the tyre advantage. So it's all down to his defensive moves here. Let's see if he can do it on this final lap.
Do you know what's worse as well? It's a buy one get one free on the DRS. He'll get it on this and he'll get it on the next straight as well.
Yeah, he has 3 DRS zones as MDJ to use, so he just claw his way back into turn number 1. Then up the hill in turn number 2 he'll get closer. Then it's turn 4, that's when he'll overtake. He's too far back to make a move, so he used this DRS range just to get himself in that into closer contention to make a move. But they're both trying to use the battery they don't have. What about Hurricane as well? Oh, this is Glock doesn't have a decent exit. He went a bit deep here. So can MDJ capitalize? Hurricane is up into P3. Laser gets put on the curb. Sammy may take advantage, but this is so close now as we head down into turn 4. MDJ goes around the outside. Laser plays. They may break contact. Glock there, half spinning. Saves the car. Let's see, gets better traction. You can see a wheel spinning come out of the corner there. But Glock tried to defend, but he can't do it. MDJ takes the lead of this race. Can Glock do a switchback? Can he go down the inside? It's going to be so close. I don't think he can. So MDJ planned it at the right time. That was so close there. Oh, I didn't think he'd do it, but he did. What about Glock? He's getting the gate again. It's not over yet. If you want to go down the inside, no, he can't. I thought to try and go down the inside, but he's smart. He won't do it. And he cuts the corner too, but he doesn't pick up penalty. And here we are. MDJ wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Glock in P2. Hurricane just hangs on to a podium with Laser in P4 there, and Sammy in P5. Hazara managed to make those mediums work. We'll finish in P6 after starting P17. Wow.
Glock was very close there to being a naughty boy. He moved twice and then nearly, I don't know if he moved in the braking, but that was very borderline being in the steward's room there by moving again and coming across as he did. If you've already made 2 moves, you know, the middle of the track is really where you can only go to make the corner. You can't come back to the left, so that was, from what I saw, extremely borderline, if not a little bit naughty.
I think Glock might get away with it, but Glock will be so frustrated that one more lap just caught him out there. MDJ planned it to perfection. Staying out 3 laps later benefited him with tyre life towards the end. Glock tried everything he could. Defensive moves, a bit borderline like you said, and also the wheel spinning out coming out of turn 4, just trying to be desperate on the throttle there, but couldn't do it. It started raining too.
Yeah, I saw the clouds coming in at the end there. Yeah, it was certainly getting darker.
If we had a safety car, the rain could have made this race more interesting too.
I think I kind of like the fact that there wasn't a safety car.
No, we had one virtual but no safety car. That's incredible from all these boys. Oh, what a race, mate!
Yeah, that was exciting stuff. Yeah, I think Glock maybe just on that pit stop. I don't know.
I'll get all these boys in for the. We're already in the SFR party, so hopefully those guys are in it.
Yeah, I'll get me invited in now, mate.
What an incredible race. It all came down to the wire at the very end. Glock versus MDJ. They made contact, but thankfully no one was sent to a spin, unlike Spain. But it's so unfortunate for Glock there, trying to go for a win of the season. MDJ just had him, but Glock will know next time not to pit early. It was quite obvious for Glock to go in the pit lane, try and respond to the undercut from guys behind, but sometimes still that later can benefit you towards the end. Seen from MDJ. Hazara, P18 to P10. Mackett, P20 to P8, so need to mention those guys' races as well. But look, I thought Glock would pick up a 3-second time penalty. He went off the track twice. Final corner and the exit of the final corner, so he must have been borderline close for penalties there.
Yeah, exciting end to the race there, mate. MDJ, absolutely stellar what he did. Last lap overtake as well. You always want to do a last lap overtake, don't you?
Yeah, you do. I can't actually remember a last lap overtake. Oh yeah, I do actually. Abu Dhabi 2021, but before that, I don't really remember. About Canada 2011, Button on Vettel. There we are. We've got the boys in, and hopefully they'll all join. MDJ said he would talk to me after the race will finish, and here he is.
Hi.
We're just waiting for Harry Kane and Glock. Harry Kane and Glock. I tagged those two to make sure they can get in.
Yeah, we'll do.
Also, Harry Kane didn't pick up any penalties, unlike in Canada too, so he told me that Austria would be better for him, and it proved to be, so good job from there for Harry Kane. He also joined the party too, so we're just waiting for one more driver to join, then we can get going with the interviews. As Glock says, good luck all. Glock, join the party, mate.
No, Clark is not coming.
Oh, is he not?
He doesn't have a mic.
Oh, so we'll start with Harry Kane upwards then. So, Harry, mate, you lost out on a win at the Canadian Grand Prix, but here you are at the Austria Grand Prix, fighting for the podium between Laser and Sammy there. I bet you were very nervous as well because you guys were constantly trading DRS with each other, but I think you overtake him on the last lap. Obviously, MDJ and Glock had their battles there, but I bet you were very nervous towards the end. I think you were at the back of the train for the DRS as well, so I think you pitted early to try and go for the undercut against the guys ahead. So when MDJ overtook you, were you hoping to stay with him to DRS range to try and get closer towards the lead? Was that your plan when he overtook you? That's the thing as well because when you're it's a hard scenario really because when you're further behind, like when you're fifth or sixth at the DRS trade, you think about an undercut because you can't overtake these guys. But at the same time, staying out later could also be beneficial. It's just both can work, but it depends where you are at the right time. So maybe staying out there later was the best course today because there was no safety cars either to interrupt this race. Sure, fourth podium of the season as well, but you're currently third in the championship, extending your gap to JDM. So must feel good in the championship wise. And the next one, I believe, is at the Silverstone Grand Prix, British GP. So how are you feeling for that one, mate? Wow, you had great pace here in Austria. Also, was the plan staying behind Sammy so you can get the DRS to save battery later on towards the race? Use him as a guinea pig, really.
Yeah, well played, Harry, mate. It was a great running from you. Just a quick question from me as well, mate. At the start, we saw a definitive group. The lead five drivers chose hards. Then there was another pack of five drivers on mediums, and then a lot of the remaining drivers on the hards. Was it always the plan to start on the hards, or was that a last minute change? Because I was very surprised that people started on hards because I thought the mediums would be very, very quick. But yeah, you chose hards. Do you think that was the right call? And was it a last minute change or a plan? Good stuff, mate. And if we ran that race again, would you do the exact same strategy? Okay. Yeah, we was actually quite surprised that the medium runners didn't have enough pace at the start, especially in the first 3 or 4 laps, to actually put pressure on you guys. So yeah, very very surprising from us. We didn't expect that, but it obviously seems like the hard tyres are pretty much the race tyre around here. Then good stuff. Yeah, I suppose as well. Starting on the hards, it means that when you switch, you're on the grippier tyre. It's just we were talking about the undercut not being an option because obviously you've got to go longer, but it certainly worked for you guys. So well done, mate. Absolutely stellar race. Hopefully we can see you on the podium at Silverstone, mate.
Move on to DJ then. Yeah, once again, Hurricane, congratulations, mate, after missed out on a win in Canada. But no penalties this time, and that's what gave you the reward this race. We'll go towards MDJ. So, wow, Mikey had us on our toes towards the last few laps of this race. You had it in the DRS race and it dipped out of it. So, was the overcut always going to work? Like, say that later. Was it? Did you think when you came out of the pit lane, with Glock so far ahead, that you have any chance of catching him up?
No, actually, I thought I was gonna run away with the win, and that I had to battle for second place. But apparently, I had the pace because once I was trying to get close to the second place and third place, I noticed I was gaining a lot of time to Glock as well. So I thought, oh, maybe I can get close, maybe within 1 second gap, but never thought about winning. Uh, Not even on the last lap, I was thinking about winning. I actually thought Glock had it in the bag until I was next to him.
Yeah,
This was very surprising for me in the last lap, going for on the outside and actually making the overtake and actually winning it. I was expecting to be somewhere around P4, P5 today, so this I'm happy with this.
I bet you were very nervous, weren't you, all the way around the outside of turn four? Because I thought you were a bit too far back at that DRS. I mean, coming out of turn number three, but you got so close to turn four. Then coming out of turn four, you were side by side with him. So I bet you must have been very nervous after thinking you had no chance of winning, and all of a sudden you're alongside him.
Yeah, I mean, I was very nervous. I was just very surprised. It kind of caught me off guard and actually made me brake a bit too late, which apparently helped me win the race. So, I mean, I guess it worked as it was.
Yeah, I'm surprised you stayed that long as well because I thought that definitely cost you. But did you like have an idea? Did you think that the tires were much better than everybody else's, hence why you were going to close that gap down like you did?
I mean, I was trying to stay out as long as possible, thinking about a safety car and all, but it didn't happen. And I believe that Glock did get a little bit of help with the VSC earlier. So all I was thinking about was getting fresher tired than everyone else. So staying out longer, so I can have fresher tire, be quicker on those tires, and make the overtakes better. And once I get the overtake, trying to drive away from the 1 second mark. And that
Yeah.
actually did happen. But what was unexpected, that I actually closed the gap to Clock.
Yeah, just a quick one on the virtual safety car. I don't actually think it helped Glock. If anything, it was a bit of a disadvantage because he'd just come out of the pits and he was trying to warm his hard tyres up. So he spent the majority of that lap that he came out at 40% pace, and nobody was close enough to actually pit anyway. So although it didn't help the other drivers, I don't think it helped him either. I think it kind of neutralised his ability to warm those tyres up. So maybe slightly on the disadvantaged side, in my opinion. But yeah, it was very unlucky for some and lucky for others. I reckon another half a lap difference that could have changed the entire race. I don't know what you think about that, Indigo, but yeah, it was a very close one to disrupting that race.
I think if yes, when Glock came out, if MDJ and the rest of them pitted immediately, Glock wouldn't have that chance to warm his tyres up and go for that fast lap on his out lap. So I think if those guys pit in for next lap, they'll have the jump on him because Glock didn't have that lap, and the virtual safety car came in immediately once those guys. They were at the final corner when they came in, so they could have came to the pit lane and not lose any
Yeah,
time with Glock pacing around on those fresher mediums. But
yeah, agreed, mate. Agreed.
okay, I was going to ask for some DJ, but I actually forgot now. But oh yeah, so MDJ, when you overtook Samid for second place, were you expecting those three to be stuck in the DRS train and fighting them out towards the end? I'm surprised you pulled away despite those three on DRS.
I mean, I expected them to follow me, and that was never that they would be behind me all race long, and then trying to make an overtake at the final lap. But uh, I actually made it work to get a gap in the corners since um, one of the drivers did not have the setup for the corner, so I actually drove away just about 1 second, which helped me in the overall lap.
Surprised you did that too in like 1 second on that lap, but yeah, you had an incredible pace to hunt down Glock towards the end. I didn't think you'd do it. Like I said, I thought you were a bit too far behind, but you late on the brakes at turn four, had better traction around the outside. I think you were both going for traction too. Then you just got him into turn number 6 we went. But that was incredible, nail-biting stuff. Very intense as well to hunt somebody like that towards the end of the race. But so, how are you feeling for the British GP at Silverstone?
I mean, uh, I mean, I guess we can have a similar result. Maybe not this time on the win, but this time on second or third place, since Glock and Hazara is very quick around those tracks. So we'll see.
Do you think it's a long season ahead of us due to having us a full calendar with 23 races this season? So you're not too far behind Leys in the championship as well. I think you match his tally of wins this season too, and one podium behind. In fact, you're matching with podiums too because Leys didn't get one. So 2 wins and 6 podiums each for both of you. So do you think you have a chance having a shot at Laser this season for the championship?
To laser, maybe, yeah. If late in the season, probably. Very late in the season. Right now, though, not thinking about it.
It's probably best if you don't, just one race at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
You
And you'd
learn
be
back.
alright if Laser keeps bottling it as well, though.
Sorry?
You'd be alright if Laser keeps bottling it.
Yeah, if he keeps bowling, if he DNS twice or 3 times, I'm actually in the lead. So
You know how it is with the championship fight between me and you all those seasons ago, very intense. So you learnt it all those seasons ago.
yeah, I mean, I've been learning it from other leagues as well right now. It's not very nice. So
I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't for you back when we were fighting for one, but here we are to this day and age. Me commentating, you going for the championship, and me watching you go for a championship too, or trying to.
exactly.
But yeah, we'll round it off. Thank you, Dan, for commentating. It was a pleasure to have you. Almost didn't have you earlier on because of your PSN issues, but it's glad to have you.
It's a pleasure, mate. Really enjoyable doing comms with you, mate. Thanks for doing it again, mate.
Yeah, no worries. We'll be back for the British GP at 7:30 again for SFR, and make sure you tune in next Tuesday. See you all then. Have a great week and a weekend too, and hopefully you all enjoyed the Singapore Grand Prix as well as it was 2 days ago.